according to Larry Brooks, the New York Rangers are reportedly on the horizon to having a reunion with Jimmy Vesey. So Jimmy Vesey, not a name that I would have expected to be back with the Rangers. Sounds like he will be returning on a one-year deal at league minimum, 750K, and if Vesey was sent down to Hartford, let's just say that full contract would not, go on the books. So really a very low risk signing for the New York Rangers. Jimmy Vesey, there was a lot of hype for Vesey coming out of college. He was the Hobie Baker Award winner. And I think there was a thought that, similar situation to Kevin Hayes, where Kevin Hayes was drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks, didn't sign with Chicago, and the Rangers got him. And Kevin Hayes, look, he's been a pretty successful NHL player. I think at this point of his career at the Flyers, on the downturn, but you never know with John Tortorella in town in Philly. But anyway, as far as Vesey is concerned, there was a lot of hype with Jimmy Vesey. There was a Jimmy Vesey sweepstakes, as crazy as that is to believe now. And the Rangers got him. And to this point still, he's been in the NHL now for 6 seasons. And he's still remained an NHL regular. There's never been a time where he went down to the AHL or anything like that. He remained, his sort of, I guess his game and sort of the strengths of his game have changed since he was a New York Ranger. You look back on it, his most successful years, certainly offensively, were with the Rangers. And he was durable at that point, playing 80 games, 79 and 81 respectively through his first 3 seasons with the Rangers. Was under Alain Vigneault in his first 2 seasons, and then he was under David Quinn in Quinn's first season with the Rangers, what turned out to be Vesey's last. And for Jimmy Vesey, it's a very sort of he comes back to a locker room that doesn't have many remaining players from that 2019 Ranger team. It's just Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Philip Hedl. Those are really the 3 regulars, Philip Hedl. And I can't remember, I don't believe that Vesey played with Hedl back then. Not that I'd expect that or hope that to happen now. As I see Jimmy Vesey as a 4th-line player at this stage. But, Ryan Lindgren played a handful of games there. The point is that, Vesey is really returning to a pretty much a completely new team other than, like I said, Zibanejad, Kreider, and Hedl. But Vesey, like I said, 3 years with the Rangers, that felt underwhelming. I feel as if he did improve as his time went on. I guess last year with the Rangers, it wasn't a bad one, where like the defensive side of his game improved. And that's, I think, right now, kind of weirdly, Jimmy Vesey's kind of biggest asset, if you will, is he has become a regular penalty killer. Now, look, if you do the deep dive, is he like a good penalty killer? I'm not sure. But for the New Jersey Devils this past season, again, on a pretty poor Devils team, he was a top penalty kill guy for the Devils. So I think the thought there is that if Jimmy Vesey makes the Rangers, that you might see him killing penalties, which is just interesting because Vesey as a Ranger was more of seen as an offensive threat. In his last year with the Rangers, he did get some penalty kill time where it was kind of like the 3rd unit, whereas the first 2 years, not at all. He was really a defensive liability his first 2 years, and that I think that's what hurt him the most. Under Alain Vigneault, he would have played more, but I think he just wasn't ready defensively. But you look back on it, and Jimmy Vesey had a decent 2017 playoffs. It wasn't great, but I liked his game. He scored a really big goal against the Ottawa Senators. I believe in Game 5. The one goal he scored in that playoffs that kind of trickled past the line. It got reviewed. It was a goal. Unfortunately, the Rangers couldn't find a way to hold on to the lead and would eventually lose the series. I believe it was Game 5 that Vesey scored that goal in the playoffs. Let me just confirm that real quick. Yep, it was Game 5. And so I thought, Vesey used his size and strength and looked okay. But yeah, like when he got traded, I wasn't upset about it. He was traded for a third-round pick to the Buffalo Sabres, and with Buffalo is really where I think he kind of transitioned, less offense, more defense. He actually was a plus 12 on a bad Sabre team. He had the best plus minus on the team. It's interesting, though. He had a really, even though I speak, and plus minus can be misleading, even though I speak about his sort of maybe renewed defensive prowess, really, really bad plus minus, if you kind of move forward. So he's with the Sabres, and you knew that he wasn't going to return to Buffalo. It was COVID had, sort of stopped the season, but he was a regular in Buffalo and had a pretty okay year. I remember he scored against the Rangers when he was on the Sabres. That I remember. Then he goes to the Maple Leafs and plays 30 games with the Maple Leafs. But the Canucks end up, they claim him off waivers. And with the Canucks, he actually gets a chance. He plays 20 games with the Canucks, gets more ice time. That was a good Maple Leaf team he had been on. So he was really buried, depth-wise in that team. With the Canucks, he got an opportunity, didn't really do a whole lot with it. Was a minus 10 in 20 games, but he did get a lot of ice time, really as much as he had really since he was with the Rangers. And then he signs with the Devils in this past season and plays 68 games. The reason that it was only 68 was he actually got hurt against the Rangers in early April, which sidelined him for about 3 weeks. So he must have been, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he was a healthy scratch here and there. And again, keep in mind this wasn't a good Devil team, but Vesey, definitely was regular on that team. Really bad minus 24. But that might speak to just the Devils in general. But I take this as a guy who might make the team. He's competing with the likes of Dryden Hunt, Ryan Reeves, although, again, I know Ryan Reeves is more of a name and someone that you probably think push comes to shove will be in the fourth line. But I think Vesey, I felt like this was worth definitely discussing because, again, there is that history. He was in the Rangers for 3 years. And there was a lot of hype around Vesey. This was not someone I expected to be brought back. I guess Chris Drury thought highly enough of him to do so. I think there is a bit of a depth issue with the Rangers. When you look at them, I do think that they can use some bodies, and him being on presumably a $750K cap hit is attractive. It really is, and maybe for him there could be a resurgence. Coming back to his old team. Again, I really did not expect this, but he was on the Devils last year, and had a solid enough season. Again, the plus minus is ugly, but he's someone that can chip in some goals. We've seen some offensive ability from him in the past. So I think Vesey's someone to definitely keep an eye on, come training camp and preseason, because that's someone who's definitely going to be competing, for that 13th forward job, or maybe making it onto that fourth line. So a very interesting potential signing, right? If there is a snag in this, we'll discuss that. But, Larry Brooks, very credible. And it really does sound like, this is on the horizon. And sooner than later, it'll become official that Jimmy Vesey is, again, a New York Ranger. So, a very low-risk move. It's hard to complain about this. Look, if it doesn't work out, he goes to Hartford, or, maybe some other team claims him. So, really, there's no harm in doing this, but definitely came as a surprise. I did not expect to see Jimmy Vesey, of all people, return. Like I said, 3 years that were underwhelming based on expectation. But when you look back on it, those were definitely his most offensive, productive seasons in the NHL. He's now become a penalty killer. So I think Jimmy Vesey, if he makes the team, don't be surprised if you see him killing penalties. I don't expect him to be taking ice time away from, the young players. I just see him as someone who, might be in that fourth line mix, because let's be honest, there are a lot of question marks on that fourth line as I see it. So Jimmy Vesey, I look at it, why not? He can be someone, look, if he plays well, he earns it. I have no problem with him being on the fourth line. So again, Jimmy Vesey reportedly returning to the New York Rangers.